Today we're going to be talking about quizzing, and this is sort of how we do it here. I'll start off and say, who are you and why are you here? We'll try to capture those questions in a small statement or question, and then we will try to be responsive to your needs so that when you leave, all of your questions and dreams are fulfilled. Who'd like to start? I will start.
Okay, you
Actually, I'll start. Sorry. I just thought, I never participated in this, and
That's true. Who are you?
So, my name is John Martin, and I run the Active Teaching Lab. Welcome to the Active. Sorry, we did that already. So, the idea for this quizzing update, and the reason that I'm here, is because there are always changes happening with Canvas, right? Every 3 weeks, they make some changes and roll out a new version of it, versus Desire to Learn used to be once a semester maybe, but more likely once a year. So in the quizzing world, we had heard about Quizzes Next. And we had heard about they're doing a special thing at UW, looking into special quizzes that engineering, for example, has, where they got 10,000 question banks, or 10,000 questions in their question banks, and they don't transfer over nicely to Canvas quizzing. So we said, let's have a quizzing update and see where we are with this. And that's why I'm here to sort of share with everybody and learn myself in many ways what has changed. Who would like to go next? Okay, Tim. Oh, now we're ready.
Cliff Cunningham, I'm working with the Learning Learning team as well, and I'm here to just sort of learn and hear, and especially with the topic of quizzing, we provide a lot of support on the development of content, so I'm here to see where we are with the product.
All right. Okay.
My name is Kenny. I'm a grad student in the Kines department, and really my only experience with quizzing so far is a summer course where it's all online, so I'm just curious what's new, what's available, and what's being done with it.
Great.
Frank Rooney, mathematics, used quizzing for a bit. I want to see how they made it a little better. There's always a few bugs in the last.
All right, so far I've got now what's new and better.
I'm Erin. I teach Spanish for independent learning. All my courses are online and they're asynchronous. So I use quizzes a lot, but I'm interested in quizzes.next. I tried to use it and was kind of thwarted because I couldn't include some things that I wanted. So I'm wondering, if people have had experiences with that, what they are.
All right, very good.
Yep.
Elizabeth?
My name is Elizabeth Harris, and I'm here to talk about the new quizzing tool on campus, and any other information that you guys need. Also, I'm always interested in how other people are quizzing. I'm in engineering, so we have all these crazy use cases, but I like to see how other people are doing it.
I'm Lisa Leonards. I'm from the Department of Environment, Health, and Safety, and I show up because now I'm chairing our training committee. So I need to stay up to date on what's happening, so it's news to me. There's quizzing next, so I need to learn about it.
Yep. What's new, what's different, better, worse? Lynn?
Hi, I'm Lynne Prost. I teach in the biochemistry department. And I do use quizzing in Canvas. I have weekly low-stakes pre-lab quizzes for a lab course. But I feel like I use very simple multiple choice. I feel like there's more power there than I have spent the time to really figure out how to leverage. So I'm interested in hearing about how other people set up their quizzing and what kinds of cool things might be next or new in quizzing.
Alternatives, multiple choice questions. Paul?
My name is Paul Schwartz. I teach in the School of Nursing, and I'm here because Canvas is about to break my workflow.
Oh no.
And I use the survey option a lot in Canvas, including the downloading of this CSV files in order to survey my students on a weekly basis, and it looks like CSV downloads are going to go away.
Ooh.
Oh man.
I use both graded surveys to just give credit once students submit things, and then I evaluate, because I have 165 students, so I scan through all of their responses to sort of short answer essay questions straight down the column, and they're going to take that away.
I've not heard that that's going away. But
It's not, I mean, everything I look at for the FAQ and the feature comparison, that's checked under Canvas quizzing and not checked under quiz.next.
Is this?
So when would this happen?
Oh,
Well, hang on. We'll get to it.
There are going to be some people in a world of hurt if this is how it is with tracking
Right.
information.
tomorrow.
Peter.
I'm Peter Van Kamp. I'm faculty in kinesiology department, and I've been using quizzes kind of like in a similar way, low stakes things. But I would use it more if there's certain things I want to do and that I haven't found a way to do yet in the multiple choice formulation of quizzes, and so I'm interested to see if the improvements in the new tools that are have been announced will add flexibility to the format of questions.
Okay, yes, format types, alternatives, multiple choice, etc. New formats. Very good.
I'm Jen. I'm a faculty in engineering physics. I use quizzes in my class for both low stakes assessment and also, like Paul, I use it for self-evaluation, team evaluations, and feedback. So I'm also sad to hear that the feature might not be there. But also, I find it to be clunky, and I lose data. I can't copy and paste or duplicate things easily. So I'm just looking for tips to make my life easier.
Okay, we'll try to find some of those. Tim.
Hi, I'm Tim. I'm an instructor in the ESL program. I teach mainly writing, and I use quizzes, mainly low stakes, to check understanding. And I'm here, like most people, to find out more about what's coming.
Very good, Naomi.
My name is Naomi. I work with the Collaborative for Learning and Teaching on campus. I work with a lot of instructors who have a lot of different needs for quizzing, and I want to know that wide array, especially in terms of formative assessment. Also, I had no idea either. Just to add to the crowd, so the Dunning-Kruger effect is strong with me. Thought I knew.
I'm Jessica. I teach in biological systems engineering. I use quizzing for a lot of things: low stakes assessment, homeworks, surveying my students, and I'm now.
I'm glad to bring fear to the room.
Wave.
Right.
Wave of fear,
Overtaking
yeah.
the room.
I was just kind of hoping to hopefully hear some tips and tricks that people use and maybe find ways to do things I'm doing more efficiently.
Okay, make life better. And we have Lauren on remote. She is in the School of Human Ecology, interested in learning about the range of quiz formats and what formats are best for specific learning objectives. Does not have a lot of experience with Canvas quizzes. Thanks for showing up, Lauren. Jennifer, and then Elise, and then Margaret.
I'm Jennifer. I'm a project, sorry, I'm hiding behind the TV. I'm a project assistant helping with the Active Teaching Lab, and I'm interested in seeing what features are sort of most desired by instructors and if those are available and what workarounds there are to get those.
Want me?
Sure.
Okay, I'm Margaret. I'm a student in the iSchool and work with Jennifer and John.
All right, Elise.
Hi, I'm Elise. I work in the anatomy teaching group in the medical school, and we use a lot of quizzing for pre-lab quizzes, kind of like what Lynne does, little low stakes, but still graded quizzes. Canvases are really onerous to use. I've been waiting and waiting for improvements. I've been waiting for the day when I can copy a question and reuse it. And also, I cannot figure out how to set the quiz, the settings of the quiz right, so that I can get be able to see the information I want and have the students see only what I want them to see. So I'm hoping to be enlightened.
All right. How do I want to put that down as?
And I'm sorry, what is it you're wanting them to see? Responses?
I want to release the quiz when I want to release the quiz, not have it either be like they see their responses right away, or I have to like do it by hand when it releases.
Gotcha.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's the you want them to see the responses, not like an analysis, not analytics of their quiz responses, just the actual responses.
Yeah, when the quiz closes though, not when they finish the quiz. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got me in a real puzzle.
All right, so looking into the settings. Very good. Karen?
I'm Karen, I'm also in the med school teaching anatomy course, and we use tons of quizzing both for like post-dissection knowledge checks for the students, that counts for about 10% of their grade, and we also post our exams in Canvas. But I mean, one of the things that annoys me is I can't preview a question when I write it. You know, just little simple things to see, does it look like what I want it to see, without going to the overall quiz and previewing the quiz to see what it actually looks like. So that's one of the annoyances, and just general updates I'm interested in as well.
Very good, thank you. Mallory?
I'm Mallory. I am a consultant on the Learn at UW team. And just to kind of quell everybody's fears, Quizzes, the normal version, is not going away anytime soon. So quizzes.next is not going to be our main quizzing tool for probably a really long time. So don't worry about Quizzes going away.
Yeah.
I'm also involved with the Learnosity project, more new to it than like Elizabeth would be, but I'm here and happy to talk about stuff that's going on with that.
Okay, so what I just heard was quizzes.next is additive, not replacement.
Yep.
It's a supplemental, it's an optional thing.
Right now, yes, and there are no plans for it to become the primary tool in Canvas for UW.
And there are
in
no
the future.
plans for it to become the primary tool.
Yeah, as you guys have seen, if you've used it, it's not in great shape yet. It still has some work that needs to be done.
Yeah.
So don't worry about that. You don't have to rebuild all your quizzes yet. Right, yet is the key word, but I mean, for at least the next year, you don't have to worry about it.
All right.
Let's see.
And Lauren, we're just in time for you to introduce yourself.
Oh, thought I was later than that.
Nope. Save it for last.
I'm Lauren Rosen, I do language stuff. And
Why are we here?
why am I here? I might be confusing today's topic and yesterday's topic, so tell me what today's topic
Today's
is.
about quizzing.
Quizzing.
In Canvas?
Because many of our courses are now taught online and blended, so we're doing a lot of quizzing in Canvas. So I want to see what the newer things are that people are doing with it.
I love that people just come without even knowing what the topic is, because they know that
I
the
knew when
value
I signed up.
right. So sometimes I think, is it worth going around the room at the beginning to get this? But every time that I do it, I hear like, oh, I didn't know that, and I didn't know that, and now we have a list of things that we can talk about, and we can figure out what order to do it all. I think for me, one of the big places to start is the new quizzing tool, Learnosity, Quizzes Next, Canvas quizzing. Like, is the new learning tool, is that Quizzes Next or is that Learnosity? Or is it something else? Where do things like H5P's interaction via Pressbooks play into this at all, if at all? I don't know a lot of these things, and I'm sort of supposedly close to the source, right? So it's interesting because I hear a lot of you are involved in the pilots, and I get to find out about that through a lot of the users. And you also use the tools a lot more with students in different situations than I ever get a chance to. So it's very helpful for me as well. So let's start with definitions. There's the quizzing tool in Canvas, right? It's called Quizzes. And it's not quizzes.next, but it has a certain number of things. It includes, interestingly, non-quizzes like surveys where there aren't points attached, but then there are also graded surveys where there are points attached, but there aren't right answers or wrong answers. And that threw me for a big loop moving from D2L to Canvas quizzes. And then once I realized I could use it to get formative feedback and give them a couple of points for doing so, where they don't have to worry about giving me the right answer, and they don't have to worry about outing themselves as I'm the student who hates your assignments. I was really excited about that, and so I use that a lot. And I can see how other people would as well. Quizzes Next is a thing that Instructure started working on 4 years ago, it feels like. I remember hearing it at the InstructureCon, Elizabeth, you and I were at.
Yeah, they were gonna release it then.
It was imminent.
Yeah, and then they didn't. Repeatedly.
And now that it's sort of half released, people are saying, oh, this is still too early.
Right.
Because it's issue-y, it's got issues. So the people who do start playing with it are frustrated with it. But the old quizzing tool is also frustrating.
Yeah.
And we're kind of all waiting for the next big thing, but the next big thing is turning out to not be great. Learnosity then comes in.
So it's atomic assessments.
Okay.
Just so everyone knows.
I'm gonna add.
Can you tell us what that is?
We're gonna get to it. I just wanted, before John said learnosity one more time to.
Is learnosity not associated with that?
It is associated, but it's atomic assessments, and then the umbrella is like learnosity, but what we're using is atomic. Is it the other way around?
Yeah. So,
okay.
and I'm happy to explain it, but
they're related.
You guys should know atomic assessments. Learnosity is a code base that it's built on.
Alright.
So if you want to know about the code base it's built on, we can talk about learnosity. But for the purpose of campus and most users, it's atomic assessments.
Yeah.
Cross out
when you have
learnosity.
a course that's called learnosity connector.
Not when they release it. It'll be
Okay.
atomic assessments.
That's good.
Right. So it's confusing.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of names out there, and which one is the new learning tool? Is that atomic assessment? When you said I'm involved in the new learning tool, are you involved in atomic assessment, not Quizzes Next?
Correct.
Quizzes Next sounds like it's the new learning tool because it says next, right?
Well, it depends on what you're defining. They're both new learning tools, right?
Yeah.
So atomic assessment is what's coming out of the Canvas migration project to meet the functional gaps that Canvas quizzes could not meet. And quizzes.next was not expected to be able to meet. And also we had zero confidence that it was going to be released in the near future. So
We're smart.
yeah, so they're both new tools.
Okay. So when Campus first switched over from Desire to Learn to Canvas, the initial promise was everything was going to go great. We quickly realized that things were not going to go great for a significant portion of people who were doing quizzing already. The idea is not always when you get a new tool to replicate exactly the same things in the old tool, because the old tool often has issues that people have figured out how to work around when they build in unproductive habits and practices. So instead of replicating that in the new tool, it was in many of our eyes a chance to start anew and redo and change things over a little bit to make it easier. That did not necessarily turn out, so we have all of these new tools coming over. So, should we start with the latest, or should we atomic assessment and work our way back through quizzes next, or should we start with quizzes and then quizzes next? And
I think it would be good. Maybe it is clear to everybody that the quizzes.next thing still kind of confounds me, only because I don't get where it is, what is the steps. You go to the Canvas guides, you try to look up anything regarding quizzes, you get everything about quizzes.next, and you gotta dig deep to get away from it, and I don't know how to manage it. So I keep thinking surely it has some significance in Instructure's future for the product, and yet it just keeps being delayed. I know it's not going to roll out. If it does roll out, so I just don't know. So I mean, I don't want to spend. We could spend probably the full next 30 minutes just trying to hash this out. But if there is something more that anybody wants to share on that front, I'd be receptive.
that's good. Does anyone know about Instructure's plan? Is Quizzes Next designed from Instructure's viewpoint to replace quizzing? Any insight?
I mean, to be honest, I feel guilty because as Learning UW team, I probably should be a little more on the informative side of this than on the questioning side of this.
Yeah, and I think I'm gonna send an email to our Susan, our Canvas administrator, because ultimately she doesn't make the decision, but she's a big part of the decision about when certain things go away in Canvas and when they're replaced. And because none of you have received any communication, I've never received any communication about anything going away or being added, I would say it's probably not coming in the near future, but I'm gonna ask Susan if she knows of a timeline for quizzes.next. But like I said, I don't know about it, Cliff doesn't know about it, and we're on the team. So
And my snarky little, when you first mentioned quizzes.next, sir, my snarky little, I'm not going to say anything, is because it was broadcast as the next and greatest thing 3 years ago. Yeah, I was at a Canvas, what do you call it, convention kind of thing, and they were touting it, and boy, there's a lot of excitement in the room. This is going to be great, and there's going to be it was just next semester it'll be out, and then next semester, and then next semester, and it's like, I don't even think about it anymore. So I don't get too concerned about losing functionality because they've been so, that's just where I am.
If you build it into the name, next, always be the future. Well, that's
Right.
a procrastinator's dream.
That was brilliant.
And there are pages at Canvas's site that say quizzes will be replaced by quizzes.next once it reaches feature parity.
Okay.
But they still on that list of features that they're, so yeah, and who knows when that's going to happen, but their list still is clearly saying, or seems to say, we're not going to replace everything. And that surveys are.
So takeaway number one for the purpose of this lab is we are in a state of flux when it comes to quizzing in our learning management system on this campus. And probably the best course of action is to flex your flexibility skills and muscles in order to use the features of the one that works the best for you right now. Maybe start to explore, if you're on that innovator side of the spectrum, start digging around in quizzes.next and see if the things that you want to work can work. We'll hear about where campus is going with atomic assessment, and for a timeline, we do know that that is currently scheduled for next spring. I'm looking to Elizabeth for affirmation.
Yeah, so development and playing around with it for most of the rest of campus will start this fall, and then implementation is allowed in the spring.
Okay.
Will there be like I see there's a link on the lab sheet for today, something that shows side by side quizzes currently and quizzes next? Will there be something like that that shows what
My
assessments?
expectation would be yes. Right now we're so mired in, there's the project and then operational handoff, which none of you care about, but I would expect that sort of documentation would be there. We're not to documentation yet, which is why it's not available for campus yet, but yeah, that would make a lot of sense.
And then would we have the choice at times of using regular quizzes and or using atomic
You can
assessments,
use
or
both in the same course. You
Okay.
cannot mix the two
but
in
not
one.
mix in the same quiz?
Correct.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and just a quick note on documentation, it will be ready before the beginning of the spring semester,
Yeah.
when people are gonna start probably playing around with it in their classes, seeing if it's a tool that they wanna use. So we'll, if that's something everybody's interested in, a comparison, like actually seeing the comparison of at least the current quizzing tool in Canvas and Learnosity, I'll make a note, cause I'm writing the documentation to make something like that.
I think it would help in determining which one do I want to use for this particular moment.
Right.
Okay.
How do we get access to playing with?
TBD. It's still in pilot mode for right now, so we're not opening it up for everybody to use quite yet. But we'll let you know.
John, would it make sense for me to just do an overview since we keep talking about it in
Yeah,
theory?
please.
Okay.
Should I bring up blank slides? Would that be
What you linked to is just a Camtasia thing. Unless I clicked on the wrong thing. Oh, there it is.
That one?
Yeah, if you could just go to the question type slide.
Yeah.
There you go. So just for a very brief background, I also co-owned the Canvas migration for campus. I'm sorry. I think we did a great job in how we did it. I was not responsible for the choice to do it. Just put that out there. So when we did that, there were a few things that Canvas couldn't do, and the campus, the only way that teaching and learning groups on campus agreed to move to Canvas was if we had parity in pedagogical capabilities. So one of the big areas, as you guys know, is that Canvas quizzing is not very robust. And in sections of campus, particularly engineering, business, pharmacy, some of the professional schools, so there were other aspects, languages, there was the complete inability to fulfill the pedagogies. And so we embarked on a rather long project to find a tool that would fulfill these. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your point of view, we're really at the forefront on this campus of how we're using quizzing, particularly in active learning, blended learning, and things like that. So as we talked to our peers, they were all like, that's really cool. Let us know when you figure it out. And so we embarked upon this project. What we found is no tools fit our needs. And so we partnered with a company called Atomic Assessments, who is a reseller of Learnosity, and builds an interface and then enhances that code base into what is called Atomic Assessments. You will hear it called all kinds of things on campus, which is why I wanted to clarify, because we're trying, now that we know what it's called, it went through like 6 iterations of names, that's really what we want to call it. But you will hear it called Learnosity, Atomic Joel Learnosity Connector, Learnosity Connector. So if you'd please correct people, that's Atomic Assessments. We do it. For now. No, it will be Atomic Assessments. We have the Canvas thing all ready to release and everything. So what it is it's it ties into Canvas. So just like you have modules, you'll have a syllabus link, you'll have all these links on the left-hand side of what you can add in. Once it's enabled for you, then you'll also have the ability to click on Atomic Assessments and go into the tool. It looks pretty seamless. I didn't really understand how lab worked, so I'm afraid I don't have slides. I'm sorry. It's pretty seamless for you. It's seamless for the students. It doesn't kick them out. It looks like it's part of Canvas. But the big difference is the ability to do math, the ability to do spoken responses. Canvas can do it, but it was awful, and so this tool can manage that. You can do matching. You can do drag and drop. So there's all sorts of things you can do in the tool. It really expands it. There are downsides to this tool. It allows a huge amount of complexity in what we can do, types of feedback, when you release feedback, all those sorts of things. Because it's a complex tool, it is complex to set up. So that's the trade-off. So what we don't recommend, what we're currently not recommending, is for people that can essentially use Canvas quizzes, but they just there's a little thing that they don't like. We'll encourage them to look at Atomic Assessments, but it may really be so much more than what you need that it's not worth the extra effort. But that's where it is. I'm really excited about it. It really offers a lot of opportunity for what can be done, particularly as we do look at active learning and things like that. All of the groups and things like that are going to work a little different in it. So for people, and we're developing it and implementing it at the same time due to the Canvas timelines, which is a fabulous way to run a project. So some of these things development won't be done until the end of this semester. But it is currently being piloted in courses. We've gotten great feedback. It's a stable tool. And there's some different ways, like high stakes testing, you have to do a little differently than low stakes testing and some things like that, which gets into JavaScript, like server side versus client side and all of this kind of stuff. But I think that's the broad overview. Because we're implementing and developing at the same time, this is why, like Mallory can talk about the type of documentation that we're going to have or most likely have, but we haven't gotten there yet because it's not done yet. And also why it's not open for people to really look at and play with until this fall.
So the message that I'm pulling out of that as I re-speak this and simplify it through my lens is, if it's possible in your teaching and practices to keep things simple, do so. And if you need to do things more complex, either be frustrated with what you're doing right now, or and hold out and hope and wait for spring, but then be prepared for some amount of work to be able to do that complexity. And maybe in the meantime, you will find that there are simpler alternatives and workarounds. Maybe you don't need that level of complexity, but if you do, it's coming.
It's also a front-end investment, right? Like once you're familiar with it, because I really want people to use this tool. We've spent so much blood, sweat, and tears to get it ready to go that I really want people to leverage it if it makes sense. So once you have that initial investment, there will be campus central support for it. There, you know, for those of you that have sort of teaching and learning centers, there'll be support for it there. You just have to be willing to put that initial investment in, and then you'll know, like, in the complexity of the tool, what settings do you ignore, what settings do you use, you know, and then I feel like it's pretty streamlined. But that initial, it does have a pretty high learning curve in the beginning.
And we're gonna create a best practices basically for using Learnosity or atomic assessments.
Good self-correction.
Yeah, I've got to learn. I just call it Learnosity. So you can rest assured that once we have all the settings in place that are going to stay there when the wider campus can use it, we'll let you know what we think are the best settings to use. Hopefully make the learning curve a little bit less steep.
Any other questions about atomic assessments and the near distant future? Are there any question types here that you're like, I wish there was also something else? Or are there any here that you're like, what is that question?
Oh, I have a question for you. So for the new tool, is it easy to download student results in a spreadsheet?
Yes. Well,
it will be.
It will be. We're still finishing the development of reports, but that is the expectation, and the reports we have done, that's currently working.
And just a note about learning analytics on campus, as more and more tools that track and have data get introduced, we are now, I think, starting to regularly look at, well, what is generated here? How can we use it? How can we start to integrate it? And I think that what we're finding is that there are a lot of tools, and there's a lot of data, and they all are speaking different languages, and so we're spending a lot of time trying to, and energy, trying to get them all to speak in a common dashboardy type tongue that the instructors can access, so that they can adjust their teaching practices based on analytics, and also that the students can access so that they can adjust their learning practices based on analytics. And if that's the case, I mean, I think that's a good thing. Oh, good job.
But so the tool will be able to show the data will show this is a student, this is the date they took it, this is what they answered, this was what the score was.
Oh, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean that's easy. It'll also be able to show you. I can't remember exactly what the statistic is called, but like if you've got a quiz bank, you can look at the statistics on performance to make sure that the questions have parity. So one student isn't getting a really hard question, as another student is getting a really easy question. Averages across the assignments, things like that. So it's got the basic reporting of this is when students took it, but then also some more complex things that you can do the analysis on. For the moment, it does not tie into any of the other analytics. That'll be a different project. Step one was just getting it out there. Yeah.
Is this project associated with any other campuses? Like, could I collaborate with a colleague at like Whitewater or?
No.
This isn't a system.
It's not a system tool, and like I said, everyone else we talked to just said, let us know when you're done with that. So right now, the only other campus using this at all is UC Berkeley is using it for one course. That has like 6 students in it. We were so excited to collaborate with them when they told us that they were using it. We called them up and we had this, and we're like, "What are you doing?" And they showed us like they're so excited about what they're doing, and we're like, we already have 1,000 students in it. We're doing all this stuff. So right now we really are. Now if you've got like Whitewater in your course, you know, like some of the courses are trying to do these dual enrollment things, then you could use it, but as of right now, Whitewater won't have access to it unless they do their own licensing for it.
How, like, is there a chance that there could be an open access, like, code release, or like, how likely is it that this could be like robustly shared and spread?
So we worked with Atomic Jolt to build the tool, but it's Atomic Jolt's tool. Barring we have all this stuff in the license about what happened, but so if anyone can use it, but they have to pay the licensing fee. So that's already true. So any school that wants to use it, or even courses that want to use it, though I'm not sure they're prepared. I don't think they've thought through licensing at the course level. You just have to pay the licensing fee, and then you can use it.
So they're paying the license to Luminosity or to your UW team that's developing
No,
the
to
AI?
Atomic. So Atomic Jolt is the company that licenses and owns Atomic Assessment.
So Madison's paying them to license it to go into the Madison Canvas instance?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's just like
would have to
yeah.
do the same for it to reach the other campuses, unless if your course were in the subnet of Madison.
Yeah.
Then you can, well, actually you can't cross-list Madison courses with others because they're two separate campus instances right now.
Yeah, I know they're kind of trying to figure some of that out, but yeah. So like if Whitewater wanted to license, they'd just contact them, and I'm sure we could negotiate a similar, you know, we have a negotiated rate with them and things like that.
We should chat if it turns out being cool, because I do system-wide too, and more people saying, hey, we want this, system's more likely to listen, and if Madison's already gone through the legal process part, that makes it quicker for the other UWs to adopt it.
I think the hope for everyone involved in this is that once we show that it's effective, it's stable, it you know can withstand our rigorous high stakes testing in large classes and things like that, that a lot of other people will also want to use it.
So Madison is really on the vanguard. Are there any types of questions here that are, and in many ways, like these aren't new question types. These question types have been around for a long time. They just haven't been integrated into a learning management system effectively.
So the question types are, so we only fulfilled the functional gaps, so almost all these question types were available in Moodle. So people that use Moodle may be familiar with it. They were never available in D2L.
Right.
So that's where they came from.
Okay.
Now some of the chemistry stuff is new, and I have to tell you that's out of the box, and we didn't really test it because our chemistry people were doing some other things. So there is some of that could be cool. We're not really sure.
All right. So if you're interested in getting ready for your spring sandbox with this, you can start looking at these question types and getting some ready, but you can't do them yet. Would it be fair to propose an active teaching lab in late November?
Probably do it earlier than that.
Yeah, I think that's fine. We also have a new hire that's coming on that'll be solely focused on supporting this tool. So as long as it's after July, it should be fine.
I mean, I do September, late September, early October. I think they'll be ready to do it early.
I would love to have one where I could say, hey folks, and here's how to start playing around in it.
Yeah.
Yep, it's by September we should know.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like for week 11 there? Or just
That's what I was
quizzing?
thinking, yeah. Well, these are not in weeks, they're just numbers right now, but yeah, roughly week 11, or not 11, yeah. Yeah, okay, good. So this is good news, I think, for me. I like hearing this news. This news I didn't know before. So, should we talk about Quizzes Next? How many of you have used Quizzes Next? Little hand. So there's a finger, there's a hand, there's seen it. And not at all. No. And what were the frustrating parts of it? Was relative to regular Canvas quizzing?
I just looked at it and said, oh my God, this is super.
Okay.
Well, it is a complete overhaul of like layout and interface. I mean, it's very different. Without even paying attention to whether it's parity or not, it's a very different interface.
Is it a dumbed down interface or is it more complex?
I got frustrated early.
Okay.
Left.
I mean, I think it's like any software improvement. I mean, it's an attempt to give you more functionality, and they tried to rethink the way you organize some of the content. So the commands aren't in the same places. I'm trying to think what I equate to.
All right. Erin, what are your thoughts on
My frustration is sort of secondhand. Our program's a little strange in that if I want to make a change, I have to, use an instructional designer, and we have to go through the process of approving it. And basically, all I wanted to do was like create a quiz and put the answer key in it, so that if someone else teaches the class, it's just right there. And that wasn't capable, and we weren't able to do that in quizzes.next, so I scrapped the whole thing and I just said, let's just do it in quizzes because you can.
Okay.
So that was just
All right.
something we ran up against.
Can you clarify? I'm sorry, you're putting the answer key in the quiz.
Yeah. Well, not for the students to see, but for us to see.
How do you do that in quizzes?
I'd have to look at it. I'd have to like sit down and look at it. It pops up. I think there's another text box where you can just put like, I don't know what it's even called.
Like a descriptive text box?
Feedback, yeah.
On the bottom.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't get the students don't see it, but it wasn't available in quizzes.next. Something simple as that.
It's a question type.
No.
No, it's feedback. It's called feedback.
So when you say multiple choice and they choose the wrong one, you can give them feedback for try again or think about this aspect of it, and then you can set those up so the students see them or not see them.
And
So
this
the
was more
feedback
for
will
like
be-
essay questions, like they need to talk about these 3 major points, and we couldn't put that in there. So I was like, never mind.
So it's a guide for the instructor.
Yeah,
and
guide for
teacher
the
to
instructor
help
on the
them
instructor
understand
side.
the question they're doing.
Yeah.
It's a good practice, so it makes sense that the tool should support it.
Right.
You
Yeah.
might be able to do it with rubrics with quizzes.next. I know Canvas is trying to move towards the rubrics really being those metrics.
Okay.
So it might, I don't know specifically
Yeah.
your use case, but it sounds like something you might be able to do and then just not release the rubrics to the students.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Interesting.
Which will then tie into Tableau and a bunch of other learning analytics and things like that, so it could be cool.
Yeah, again, for the dashboard, for the instructors to see, for the program evaluators to see. Yesterday's session on APHIS was really interesting, I thought, because it helped me clarify how, even at the quiz level, you can have this question is sort of a key question that feeds into the course outcome, which feeds into the program outcome. So if they get this question right, they're demonstrating up at this level that
It's super cool. That is really cool.
Yeah. I'm excited about it.
That's cool.
But getting there is tricky, and we've got dead end after dead end that we're backtracking, I feel, in order to do that.
So John, do you have to request to get access to quizzes.net? Because I didn't see it on my navigation.
I believe it's under the settings, right?
I think right now only it's showing me off from, it's not giving me the switch. That was a good question. Thanks.
And it's under
Feature options? Right. This is .next. And yours also does not have a switch next to it.
Oh, right here.
And Susan will know better that Mallory was talking about, but my understanding is that on this campus it's only in the development server. So I think you have to especially request looking at it.
I'm in beta right now, and I'm not seeing it in beta as a switch either.
Is it beta.dev?
It's weird. Wisconsin-Madison.
My understanding is it's not just the usage of it that's problematic. There's some other reasons it's not turned on as well. So.
Yeah. And I'm sure if it's something you really wanted to explore, you could reach out to the Learn at UW team and kind of make your case for why you would like to try to use it, and we could probably turn it on a case-by-case basis. But that's not necessarily my decision. You'd have to talk to the Canvas admin, Susan, about it.
So that email address is learnuw at
learnuw-support. I think it's just learnuw support.
All right, learnuw support.
Correct. At the risk of asking a really dumb question, I'm looking at one of my courses and I have new gradebook enabled, and I also have quizzes.next enabled. And when I go to create a quiz, I have no way of knowing whether I'm in quizzes.next or in regular quizzes. How do I force myself to use one or the other for both of them?
I think you can't create a quiz.next quiz under quizzes. I think you can only create it from an assignment, from reading the FAQ.
Okay.
I haven't done it, but that's what I was reading.
Well, let me look at that.
People were asking, like, why can I only create it from assignments? And I think that's to keep the tools separate.
Okay.
But that's from just having read the FAQ stuff, not from actually having ever done it.
Extra cup of coffee for you, Paul.
I don't drink coffee.
I'm looking for it.
Extra bagel.
But there's this comment about adding tea to your beverages.
Oh. Yesterday we had tea.
Need morning tea.
They're moving it to an LTI tool, so if you think about it as the other plugins, it should work more like that and less like quizzes.
Oh, okay.
Will you also update the email to @doit.wisc.edu, Learn UW support? It's @doit.wisc.
So it's deep.
Thank you. All right. I want to talk about alternative multiple choice questions. On Wednesday, we had an active teaching lab that you didn't know about because it was a special active teaching lab on authentic assessment for REACH courses. See if I can find it. And one of the things we talked about, there it is. Was this cool slideshow that Dan put together. It's linked to on that activity sheet, but what I will do is I will link it to our activity sheet as well. And it goes through lots of, like 12 different alternatives to multiple choice questions that you can create. Matching information to source text, true, false, not given, and they have examples of these. And it's a nice reminder, I think in a simple format of, oh, I hadn't thought about this, but different types of questions that you can do that go beyond the multiple choice, but are still sort of really easy to look at and to assess and grade. So I'll make sure that I link that to the bottom of our activity sheet.
And who did that? Dan who?
Dan Pell is a colleague of mine. Yeah. I'll just Alright, so that's there. We have 6 minutes left. What else have we not talked about that we want to make sure that we at least begin to address in this very confusing and chaotic topic? Paul, can you tell me about how you're, why do you need to download that information? Why can't you use the Canvas analytics for your survey questions?
Because I use short answer and essay questions, and so I'm reading.
Yeah.
Yeah, not the numbers.
That makes it onerous and funky to do it individually.
You have to sit there and speed grade. Next,
Right.
Next.
Okay, so it's good that Canvas quizzing is staying for now.
And I actually use it for, I have the students do a semester-long project that they're trying to make a change in their own health, and they do a survey where there are questions on like, how onerous is this for you this week? And they're like 1 to 7. This would be a place where replicating questions would be nice because I have all these 1 to 7, 1 to 7, 1 to 7, and I type 1, 2, 3. At least the first time I create the question.
Yeah.
And then there are 2 essay questions that go with it that link it to the course content that we've covered in the 2 weeks since the last survey. So I like both being able to download the essays and then just use show me how they're answering relative to how much time they're putting in, how difficult it is, etc.
So do you know, will the download go away for regular quiz or just a survey?
It's right now it says no CBS downloads, CSV, sorry, downloads. That box is unchecked in the feature comparison.
Yeah, I mean, we gotta download the data just so we keep an eye, you know, if we get audited, we have to show that, you know, these people actually got trained.
Yeah, so I wonder if there's going to be something, and maybe it is just a survey and not the quizzes. Do you remember seeing anything in Quizzes Next about surveys?
No, and I'm actually, I pinged Susan right now to ask how we can get access to them. I'm hoping to hear from her, but it may not work out. No, I don't think we've lost stuff. I don't know.
So we'll try to figure that out as well.
John, you're getting comments there, and I would agree. We can't access that beyond the MCQ.
You can change it to
I don't know if I
view
can.
only link or something?
Maybe. See if I have that level. Oh, but it's not mine. I'm going to check with Dan before I do that.
I'll say one other weird thing I know about Canvas surveys is there's an option to make anonymous surveys, and that's a lie.
Really?
And it's important that people know that it's a lie. Like you turn it on, your students take it, you can go back and re-edit the settings and turn off anonymous, and it reconnects it back to the students. So.
That is terrible. All right.
So there are no actual anonymous surveys. They just are anonymous surveys.
I am sorry about that. Because I've been evangelizing that because finally, hallelujah, we have an opportunity to get feedback and protect ourselves from the impression of having it out for.
Yes, I looked up a couple weeks ago, can I give a grade for anonymous survey, and then it led me to a thing saying, hey, these aren't actually anonymous. And I tried it in my little Sandbox course with my 4 fellow instructors, and they submitted an anonymous survey, and then I unmasked it.
Oh.
Sorry.
That was actually true in both old LMSs.
All right, so Google Forms.
Google Forms.
But then you can't give them credit for it.
What I usually do with those kind of, because I used to do them in D2L in sort of a strange way, is tell them if the whole class does it, then everybody gets however many points.
And they're talking about this.
If there's anybody who doesn't do it, then nobody gets anything.
That was the thing for the APHIS survey yesterday. They were talking about if 95% of you do it, then that getting that peer pressure in there, or that let's do this for the team. I don't care about it necessarily myself, but that's a good way to sort of deal with that. I don't know how successful it will be because there's always that the prisoner's dilemma thing.
Right.
There's always one person that's like screw the rest of the class.
2 things real quick. First of all, I just heard back from Susan Sloan. We cannot, as of now, get access to quizzes.next. It has been entirely turned off for our instance. She will check to see if she can get limited access to some lesson in the Learning UW team, but even right now, Learning UW does not have access to it. Item number 2, pursuant to this issue, I just went on to you guys know about the Canvas ideas area. So in the Canvas community, there is both the Canvas guides where you go get like instruction in the software, but then there's this Canvas ideas area. Ideas are nominally the place that instructor uses to capture potential future software enhancements. And there is an idea out there right now that's open for voting, they say, and it is specifically about making anonymous surveys truly anonymous. And it specifically identifies that thing.
That's where probably where I saw it.
Yeah, that one right there, John. The
second one here?
The first light bulb. Did you click on it anyway? So if you don't know about that process, when we first started our relationship with instructor, we were very excited because we got lots of movement on things that were kind of big priority issues, and we thought that if we could just go in and start making ideas and working on ideas, things would happen. But then I think, structure may be overwhelmed by all of the things that everybody wants done. So I don't know how much emphasis to put on it, but 313 votes, that's not an embarrassing number.
It used to be 100 votes before they would take action on it.
Yeah.
And people would be like, I got 100 votes. There's currently one in there with over 1,200 votes that still has no action on it, and Canvas is like, yeah, I think that would be a good idea. Yeah.
This one seems easy. From
Right.
a programmatic standpoint, just don't let you click the on and on the button again.
Doesn't it? I know.
Right?
It's like
Once it's been clicked, it's fixed.
I don't know a little programming.
It's just enough to be dangerous.
If this is true, then
take away this option.
We're out of time. Thank you all for coming. This is a complex topic, and so thanks. I hope you leave knowing a little bit more than you came knowing. At least Quizzes is still sticking around for now, and Quizzes Next is not available, so don't worry about it. And you don't think this will not be. It's atomic assessment. It's not going to be here till next spring. So we'll have a lab on it in the fall. On your way out, if you check a few boxes, on the bottom, remember there's ideas for topics. So if any of these topics don't strike your fancy the way that another one would be, add it on to that, please.